Dara, the fallout in Kerry has been feverish. I think it's fair to say that, questioning the manhood of several of the individual players in some instances. I don't remember as vitriolic or as deep a response to a defeat by a team that's still in the championship and still could turn things around this week.
Yeah, I'm going back 9 years really. 2009 was the last time I remember something similar, and obviously as a Kerry man I'm sure a lot of Kerry people are hoping as well that there'll be something similar, a reaction to that. But it was severe in 2009 as well. They were going through the back door and playing just about adequately against Longford and Sligo, and I remember even travelling up to Tullamore. Kerry were drawn against Antrim in the last of the backdoor games before they headed into Croke Park for that famous game with Dublin in the quarter-final. And I think Kerry supporters sensed it that day in Tullamore as well, that the team needed a lift. It was the only time I'd ever seen it. I was finished playing for 3 years at that stage with Kerry, and I haven't seen it since either, where the Kerry supporters actually got behind the team in the warm-up. And I think the players in the field, and speaking to some of them since about it, they did sense that there was a genuine element to their support, and that it was a much-needed shot in the arm at the time. Now, they didn't perform that well against Antrim, and certainly not well enough to install them as favourites against Dublin, but that's 9 years ago, and there was a lot of experience in that group. This is a different group. Some of them would have won All-Ireland in 2014, but I suppose famously, the headline acts on the team going into last Sunday would have been the younger players, and I suppose in hindsight it might have been a bit much to expect them to perform or to carry the can more so. And you were talking about people questioning manhood. I'm sure you're referring to Dara's article during the week in the paper. Some of it was bang on the money. That kind of reaction needs to come, that kind of leadership needs to come from players in a particular age group. And I think that's probably the biggest indictment of Kerry's performance last Sunday, was the fact that David Clifford seemed to play so well. He's a fantastic footballer, but that some of the older members of the team didn't push on either and didn't make the right decisions at the right time. And as well as that, I suppose blame has been scattered and spread across the board, sideline and on the pitch. And even into the terraces, we haven't traditionally in Kerry been that good at supporting our teams at this stage of the year. It's all new to us as well this year, no more than any other county. And there is a huge amount of questioning and introspection going on this week, and there is a backlash expected Sunday. Whether or not it comes is another question entirely, but I'm sure Monaghan are prepared for some form of backlash.
Is the backlash going to be a purely emotional thing, or will it also be in terms of a change in outlook and attitude? Because it seemed like, reading some of the analysis, and Colin Cooper said the team seemed a little bit confused about what they were trying to do. In particular, Crowley's told to push forward after 20 minutes, but actually that clearly wasn't the game plan going into it, or if it was miscommunicated. So is that backlash really about understanding what the style that the team are trying to espouse is supposed to be?
You'd imagine some of it would be emotional, but that's going to be absolutely pointless on Sunday. I mean, they're going to have to go into the game on Sunday with a very clear plan. They're going to have to learn the lessons of last Sunday. You mentioned Peter Crowley. I'm sure that video has been poured over a good number of times in the last 5 days. And, questions have been asked in closed rooms, inside in hotel rooms and inside in dressing rooms. I'm sure, what were you doing there and what we instructed you to do? They might. I'm not privy to conversations that go on within there, but I would imagine they're the conversations that are happening. Because certainly I don't think any player on the Kerry team, the last can point to a decent performance apart from, let's say, David Clifford. Everybody else, I'm sure, can improve. And, I'm sure management will hold their hands up and say, listen, we might have got this wrong. It was a surprise to, casual observers like myself that, let's say, the Mayo performance last year, where Thomas Sullivan was employed as a sweeper out of the blue, that Peter Crowley was employed as a sweeper this time, because it did concede the kick-outs in a very big way to the Galway. And, that was just one of the things. There's a lot of questions being asked why wasn't Kieran Donaghy introduced at all, or earlier in some cases. The substitutions didn't have the desired impact either, and they're questions that only, I suppose, management and players can answer for themselves. So the backlash needs to be focused as well. It can't be all this kind of running around madness saying it's going to be an atonement or a redemption of any description on Sunday. Monaghan are well prepared, I'm sure, for that. And they'll have their homework done on Kerry. But Kerry supporters will be expecting to see some form of a reaction to what was a below par performance.
Is the hope really that because the team is so young that actually they can they're more likely to be able to bounce back. That there's a sense from young teams sometimes that they can almost blink that stuff away in a way that an older, more experienced team would kind of feel it in the marrow of their bones.
I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff being thrown up in the last couple of days, and we're still kind of baffled by the performance last Sunday. I don't think there was anything unexpected in Galway's performance. Galway have been playing to a particular template all year, and it's working really well for them. And they're counter-attacking at pace. You knew what the strengths were. It's just that they didn't appear to be addressed. You can talk all you want in the days and hours that follow a bad performance and say you kind of knew in the first 5 minutes and you knew at half time that Kerry were in trouble and this, that, the other thing. But really, they just never seem to get to the pitch of it. They never seem to punch holes. I have a clear picture in my head of David Moran winning a free close in towards the end of the game, right at the end of the game, when the game was gone from Kerry, and you're thinking, why didn't that happen all day, And maybe that Galway needs to take a lot of credit for that in the sense that they did neutralise an awful lot of the Kerry threats. But there's more questions and answers floating around this week in Kerry. I accept the argument of youth, and I'll accept that players can't be expected to perform, to a level of consistency when there is such a sprinkling of youth in there. But these are young players as well, have a good bit of experience at Croke Park. And the ball was as wet for Galway as it was for Kerry, just as it was for Kildare and Monaghan before that. They were the conditions. And, there are issues that need to be addressed. It's kind of a toughening of a mindset than anything else of, digging the heels in when you're having those periods in the game when things are going against you, where you're conceding 21-yard frees and where things aren't exactly happening as you'd expect. Youth is only an excuse that will carry you so far in that regard. It's something that certainly I don't think anybody inside the Kerry dressing room should be using this week.